Hey, Myles here at Tactical Hyve. It's another Monday, so it's a dry fire video. And as you can tell, I'm not on the range because we will be focusing on dry fire. And we're going to continue where we left off in our series on how to shoot a pistol accurately. So we are now moving on from single shots to taking multiple shots fast and accurately. If you're new to this series, make sure you look at the playlist below in the description. We've already had this series going on now for about 7-8 weeks. And if you watch the rest of the videos in this series, you're going to get a lot more value out of what we covered today and moving forward. So last week we talked about grip, and primarily one of the major principles when it comes to having a really good grip, and that is maximizing our leverage we have over the gun and minimizing the leverage the gun has over us. Just as a quick recap, we talked about having a very high and tight grip with our firing hand as well as our support hand. We want it nice and high and tight here instead of low. This is going to allow us to get rid of this space here where when there is a shot or explosion, there's a lot of movement here because we're not high or tight on the beaver tail or the tang of the pistol. So we talked about that in depth. If you haven't, if you don't remember or you don't know what I'm talking about, watch last week's video for that. Again, the link to the playlist is below. Today we're going to continue with managing the muzzle rise of this gun. We talked about the first principle where that's all about getting good leverage over the gun so that we can also minimize the movement of muzzle rise. But there is something else that we can do with specifically our firing hand that is going to help us regulate the upward and downward movement of this muzzle rise so that we can take more shots faster. And I'll explain how that works out in a little bit. But remember, there's a lot of things that we can discuss, we can dive into when it comes to grip. There are baby steps that we're taking. It's a progressive approach to this. So just keep in mind, maybe for those of you who are more advanced or those of you who do follow last week's video, follow this week's video, and maybe you still have problems, remember there's layers to this. We're doing this on a step-by-step approach. That said, what we want to do, I'm going to actually put my dry pistol away for a second here. We talked about getting high and tight last week. Now what we want to talk about is our firing hand. So if you're right hand, it's going to be your right hand. Lefties, just do the opposite with your left hand. So with righties, when we're using our firing hand, okay, a lot of people know we're going to grip the gun hard, okay, firmly. But what is the direction of that pressure with our hand, our firing hand? I'm going to discuss one of the more common techniques or ways of doing this, and that is to use C-clamp pressure here, okay? So with my firing hand, I want my fingers to pull into the front strap of the pistol, and I'll pull out my P365 to show you exactly what I'm talking about in a little bit. But this is going to pull into the front strap, and the heel of my palm is pushing into the back strap. So I want motion going forward and back into that grip, primarily. So I'm going to show this to you here, okay? And I do have a dry pistol here. My fingers are going to pull into the front strap right here, and the heel of my palm is pushing into the back strap. So this is where the idea of having a C-clamp comes in. I'm trying to push forward and back here. Now, yes, you will have pressure around the gun no matter what, especially when you're holding two hands. For example, these fingers, my fingertips right here when I'm doing the C-clamp, notice they don't touch the gun here, the gun's grip. But if I wrap around, then yes, then it starts to curl. But it's not because of what my right hand or my firing hand is doing. It is because now I have my support hand clamping down. But today's video, we're just focusing on forward and back pressure with the C-clamp with our firing hand. Just remember that you will have pressure all around, but we don't want our original intention just squeezing it like a sponge, like really just squeezing everything. Forward and back C-clamp, and then let everything else, let the other pressure happen with your support hand, okay? Now you might be asking, why do we do this? Okay, why do we need to have that C-clamp pressure? The idea is to help manage or regulate the movement of your muzzle. So by pulling forward or pulling back on the front strap right here, when the gun goes bang, it's going to go up, okay? If we are pulling on the front strap, it is going to help us move this muzzle or the firearm back down to where it came from faster, Okay? If we weren't pulling, it might go up, we might have to wait, then it comes down. Versus it goes up, then I'm pulling, and it goes right back to where it started. And what that does for us is that it allows us to shoot sooner, because now we're not waiting for our sights to come down. We've forced it to come down, and we can take another shot sooner, aka we can shoot faster. Okay, so this is what the front strap, or pulling down on the front strap, is going to allow us to do, bring the muzzle down. Now you might be asking, why do we need to push and have an equal opposite reaction with the heel of our palm? So when the gun goes bang, it goes up. We're pushing or pulling on the front strap, it brings it down. But if we have no pressure in the back, what do you think is going to happen? So if our target is right here lined up with my finger, we break a shot, we want to take multiple shots, we're pulling down the front strap so the sights come down, but now if we have nothing in the back strap, it's going to dip. And then we're going to have to wait for our sights to come back up to take that second shot. Okay, so there's a lot of movement. We're wasting a lot of movement and waiting, so we're not shooting as fast as we can. Now, if we have a solid back strap here, okay, so I'll do this way here, I'll demonstrate. So the gun goes bang, I'm going to be pulling into the front strap with my C-clamp from the top here, from the front, but now I have this wall that it's running into in the back. So now when it goes up, it is not going to dip, it's just going to hit the heel of my palm and stop right where it started. So this is going to allow us to, again, regulate the muzzle rise. And if we do this correctly and add it and combine it with proper leverage, then our shots or our muzzle is really going to come down to where it started faster, or I should say sooner, so that we can shoot again. And that allows us to shoot more shots at a faster rate of fire, because we're no longer waiting for our sights to settle. We're controlling it and ensuring that our sights are going to be there because of our management, our own C-clamp grip. So I had to provide some background before we get to the dry fire exercises, but what we're going to be working on is really isolating the C-clamp grip, okay? So to start off, all you need to do is just get used to holding this gun with C-clamp pressure. We won't even think about this hand whatsoever, your support hand. All you are going to do, you can even do this from the holster if you want to. Here, pull the gun out and ensure that you are pulling directly straight into the heel of your palm. You really need to take some time to build this sensitivity where it's automatic. If you do this, let's say 100 times, you might get it right. You're doing it slow 100 times and you can feel the pressure, forward and back strap pressure, which is perfect. But that's not enough to ingrain this. So you might think, oh, I got it, I don't need to do it anymore. But what will happen is under stress, or if you're moving around, doing things fast, you're drawing fast, and then if you pause and you ask yourself, okay, do I have proper pressure? You might now be squeezing all around using your fingertips. So you really didn't ingrain the C-clamp into your subconscious. So to start off with your dry fire session, it literally could be just holding your gun here and applying pressure for, let's say, half of your dry fire session. It could be as simple as that, starting that way maybe, and then maybe even from the draw, it can be slow, pulling your gun out, and just making sure you have good C-clamp pressure. That is literally it. Just to build that sensation, understand what the feeling that you should be looking out for when you have a proper C-clamp grip. Okay? So that's what you can do in the first half of your dry fire session. The second half is going to build off of stuff we've already done, but we're now changing the mental focus. When it comes to shooting and working on fundamentals and really getting good, here's the truth. A lot of newer shooters are thinking that there's magic, there's always a lot more to learn, but really it's just about refining certain things. And we're going to be using the same motions that you have learned already in this series, just tweaking it a little bit. Now, what do I mean? So in this series, you know, I'm going to have a dry gun here, I'm going to rack the slide here, I'm going to push out, prep my trigger, break a shot, have reset and prep follow through, all of that which you've learned in previous videos. You're going to do the same exact thing, but now you are going to pay attention as you do the rep. So I'm here, as I do my rep, I'm prepping my trigger, all that stuff, which we shouldn't have to talk about anymore. But when I break my shot, before, right now I'm thinking about before, during, after, do I have my C-clamp pressure? I am putting my focus on my grip, because we've already done this now for about 2 months. So if you've been doing your dry fire reps, all of this motion, the resetting, prepping the trigger, should be pretty much ingrained in your subconscious if you've been following diligently, okay? If not, then you're gonna have to do that more. So now we're doing the same exact thing, but now we're paying attention to our C-clamp pressure. Is it breaking anywhere, okay? If we're doing good reps, excellent. You have to track it though the entire time. So this is where it would start. I'm prepping my trigger, but I am paying attention to my grip. If the entire repetition from start to finish, right now I finished, I have that good C-clamp pressure, that is a good rep, okay? So for the second half here, I would be doing that just from the compressed ready position. And then as you get comfortable, if you know, being strict on yourself, you know you have good C-clamp pressure, then you could rack the slide, and you can do so from the draw, starting off really slow. Now, once I have my grip, that's when my focus now needs to be here. I'm making sure I have a C-clamp grip, break the shot. Do I have my C-clamp grip still? Good. Finger off the trigger, do another rep. Okay, rack the slide, do another rep. So that is really it. First is just ensuring, holding your gun, knowing what the C-clamp looks like and feels like. Then the second iteration is you are now going to rack your slide. Just take shots from compress ready and make sure you have a good pressure. And then the third iteration is to do it from the draw. All of these, though, variations start off slow, and then, as always, as you get comfortable and you're not breaking down your technique, then add a little bit of speed there. That is all we're doing right now, focusing on the C-clamp pressure. These are baby steps that are going to allow you, when combined with maximum leverage and other things that we're going to be covering, it's really going to help you hone in on recoil management and managing that muzzle rise so you can take shots faster and more accurately. So today's dry fire session is simple but extremely important. Do not neglect having that hyper focus on that C-clamp. It'll all make sense later on, so really do pay attention to it. If you do, Thursday's live fire is going to be so much easier, and you'll be more hyper aware because things won't be foreign, and you'll feel a little bit more comfortable. So then now you'll be able to focus on other things and take your learning even further and faster. So give the C-clamp dry fire exercises a try. Try to get about 3 sessions in before Thursday, and I will see you guys on Thursday during our live fire video. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later.